All right. This is the last lecture for Chapter 1, but not the last video you'll be watching this week. I'll explain a bit more about that at the end of this video. But this lecture will cover the unique principles of information security management. All management does share quite a few similarities, but there are a few things unique to information security management specifically that we'll be going over in this video. Those unique functions are sometimes called the 6 Ps: planning, policy, programs, protection, people, and project management. So InfoSec planning. Planning as part of InfoSec management is an extension of the basic planning model I talked about in the previous video. Included in this planning model are activities needed to support the design, creation, and implementation of your different information security strategies as they exist within your IT planning environment. There are quite a few different kinds of InfoSec plans. One of the chapters we'll talk about later, I believe it's chapter 10, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, we'll talk specifically about incident response planning, which contains the different plans, business continuity plan, disaster recovery plan, and a few others that we'll talk about in much more depth later on. There's also policy planning, personnel planning or employee planning, technology rollout planning, risk management planning, and then planning around your education, training, and awareness projects, which we will talk about. I believe that one is chapter 8, if I'm remembering correctly, but don't quote me on that. Included in the InfoSec planning model are activities necessary to design, create, and implement InfoSec strategies within the planning environments of all organizational units, including your information technology. Because your InfoSec strategic plans are going to support not only IT use and protection, but those within the entire organization, it is imperative that the Chief Information Security Officer work closely with all of the senior management when developing your InfoSec strategy. In fact, when it comes to IT, oftentimes some of the less agreeable IT staff will not be happy with InfoSec planning because InfoSec planning will naturally slow down their work. If your focus is on efficiency, security is nothing more than a hindrance because you have to implement all these security controls that waste CPU time that could be used doing something else. Policy is a set of organizational guidelines that dictate certain behavior within an organization. In InfoSec, we generally divide that into 3 categories: enterprise InfoSec policy, issue-specific security policy, and system-specific policies. Enterprise information security policy is your InfoSec policy for an entire organization, everything that happens within it. These are the policies that apply directly to everyone in an organization. Issue-specific security policies are policies that are written around a single issue. These are things that aren't typically going to apply to everyone in an organization, but they might, but are focused on a specific incident or item or operation within an organization. Finally, system-specific policies are ones built around specific systems. These are individual pieces of technology, firewalls, certain parts of your network, certain systems within your network, certain controls you've implemented, things of that nature. InfoSec operations that are specifically managed as separate entities are called programs. Security Education Training and Awareness Program, or SETA program, is one such entity. Other programs that may emerge include a physical security program, a fire control program, physical access, gates, guards, and so on. More specifically, a program is a project that is ongoing. With a project, you've got something that will begin and end at some point. With a program, you've got a beginning, but no set ending. It's something whose operations are going to continue on indefinitely, or until something major happens, something not within the foreseeable future. Protection function is executed via a set of risk management activities. risk assessment and control, and then protection mechanisms, technologies, and tools. Risk assessment will be the subject of chapters 6 and 7, and then protection mechanisms and technologies are the subject of our final chapter, chapter 12. Each of these mechanisms represents some aspect of the management of specific controls in your overall security plan. People are the most critical link in your entire program. Ultimately, they're the ones closest to the information, the ones most prone to error. In fact, all errors in technology come from the people that made them. This area of InfoSec includes security personnel and the security of personnel. Security personnel being your guards, your those people, while the security of personnel are how do you keep the actual personnel safe, as well as aspects of the setup program that I mentioned a few slides ago. The final component is the application of a thorough project management discipline to all elements of your program. Project management involves identifying and controlling all of the resources that you'll use in a specific project, as well as measuring the progress and adjusting your process as progress is made towards a goal. Most projects are going to change at some point. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, as the old saying goes. You can plan all you want, but oftentimes reality will get in the way of what you would assume. So you'll have to measure your process and adjust your process as you go. Information security is a process, not a project. However, each element of an information security program should be managed like a project, even if it is actually a program that will be perpetually ongoing. So then you need to answer the question, how can information security be both a process and a project? Well, your book answers that it is, in fact, a continuous series of projects. Once you finish one project, you move on to the next. Because technology is always changing and always evolving, there's always security threats you couldn't even conceive of when you created your first project. So you have to constantly be updating your security in order to keep up with those new threats. Some aspects of information security are not project-based. Rather, they are managed processes or operations and are ongoing. That is it for the material in Chapter 1. If you are watching this before Monday the 20th, I congratulate you on getting ahead of the game. I really do appreciate that. But the quiz, the first discussion, and assignment 1 will not open until Monday morning. So the next video will kind of introduce what the first assignment is. The quiz is a set of questions based on this information and some of the more detailed information that you'll find in your textbook. The discussion is a discussion that kind of introduces you to some of the news surrounding information security. And you can find all the details for that when it opens on Monday. And the next video, the final video for this chapter, will be introducing assignment 1. Every time we start an assignment, I will create a video sort of walking you through what the assignment is and what I'll expect from it. Naturally, I'm not going to hit everything just because I'm human and I make mistakes. So feel free to send me an email if you have any questions regarding it. One of the most common ways of losing points on these papers is not understanding what you're actually supposed to be doing. I try my best to explain all that, but these are fairly lengthy papers, and if you don't understand something, I want you to be absolutely sure that you do understand it by the time that you're actually working on it. So feel free to ask me any questions, but first watch the next video, the final video for Chapter 1, where I walk through what exactly Assignment 1 is supposed to be. I'll see you there.